Hey guys, good news. Good news, good news. I have managed to get into my son's account. Cancel that. So now I can show you all the neat stuff that I had working before. All these crazy factories that I had spent all this time building. So the first thing I want to show off is now I've got my equipment for my head, which includes a gas mask for breathing in the fumes, a jetpack that lets me fly around, blade runners, which let me run fast, and a few other fun things like the scanner, which lets me find things, medicinal inhalers, which heal all of your health in one go, the zipline tool that lets you slide on power lines, and of course my Xenobasher, which is the upgraded Xenozapper. Now this big factory here is producing these ingots of aluminium. I know it's aluminum, but aluminium, aluminum, whatever. Depends on what side of the pond you're on, really. So, to give you the quick tour, we start at the beginning with my trains. I'll hit the map so you can see my trains are running. I have stations here for picking up crystal, aluminium, yeah, another one here. So I got my train coming in here, hauling bauxite. It's so cool when the trains work correctly. Going to deliver that load. And we can see over there that station is going to be hauling in some other material, probably quartz, as I recall. So this is Bauxite Depot. Yep, this is Crystal Depot, so it's delivering crystal. I have the trains all timed, or at least I had them at one point in time, so that they would all go to the right places at the right times. Why is that one down? That's weird. It's gotta be a glitch. My coal. And then I'm also pumping up water. All of this is required to start the production of bauxite. Looks like this doodad moved from its original location. So the developer put it in the middle of my stuff. Because this definitely wasn't here when I built this. Alright, so the water pumps into these two big water tanks here. And these two water tanks feed water into these bauxite refineries. And they're going to take in bauxite and water and produce aluminium solution and silica. And you can see that there's a redundant system for the water, and that's this little latch here that I built. And It's kind of hard to explain how it works, but the idea here is that any excess water that comes in from over there will come through here and be injected into that system. And any water that these require more than what that provides will come in from the other one here and fill in the gap. So that all the water that's returned by the system, which there's some water returned by the system later, will come out this pipe and be reused. And then whatever water is needed extra will just come from those tanks up there. That way I don't have any waste or water being thrown away. I got my silica being pumped out here and going up that way. So, and then the coal comes in here and goes into these next levels of refinery. And you see that now I got the alumina solution and the coal working together to create aluminum scrap and water. And that's where that wastewater comes in. And it has to be piped out so that the machines don't stop because they're backlogged on water. And then the scrap comes out here and goes up. Now the crystals come in from the other side and they come around this wall over to this crystal processing plant. You see that's got to be crushed into silica, because the silica that's produced over here isn't sufficient to run the whole power plant. So I have to bring in a lot more silica, or yeah, a lot more crystal, to make more silica to supplant the other production. And only with all of that together do I finally have enough for the final production steps. So that's where all of this silica comes in from. And that's all going to go up here to this final layer up top, where it's just a big distribution system saying everything needs to be distributed. All this silica needs to go to all these different places. And the silica coming in from the other system will actually be merged into that at some point. And then those will then descend into these manufacturing plants, which take the scrap and the silica and produce aluminum, linoleum, aluminum, linoleum, and then all that aluminum gets put out here into these bins. Now, I wanted to move that aluminum to other locations. And anything that's left over after I've siphoned off what I want to keep into these bins should be run into the sinks. Now, we were going to talk about the sinks when I got to them in the other videos, but as long as we're here, I might as well mention it. So the awesome sink allows you to dump your excess resources into it, and in exchange, it gives you fix-it coupons. Now, each thing that you throw away has a certain point value. And that point value is what these coupons run on. And and the gap between each ticket goes up, and it has an exponential curve to it. So, or maybe it's logarithmic, I'm not sure. I'll have to look at the numbers. But the idea is, each ticket's more expensive than the next. Or the other way around. Each additional ticket is more expensive than the one before it. So then you produce these points, and you see the curve here as it goes up. It levels off because this is as much as I can produce with this particular factory and all the other places where I'm sinking materials. So there's going to be some variability depending on how those other factories are running. And then you can pull off these coupons, so I can print those out with the print button, and then take those to the Awesome Store, and in the Awesome Store you can use those points to buy stuff. Now, when you don't actually need it to buy stuff, then having the tickets in your inventory, it's just wasting a space, wasting an inventory slot. So I'm not going to do that right now. So now that we've synced the excess, and we have a bunch stored up here in case I need it for a project, I also want to be able to ship it to another factory. So these 4 outputs run down to this train station here, which is currently not hooked up to anything. Eventually in the future, I'll run a train here to pick up this aluminum and run it somewhere and go do something useful and interesting with it. And that's as far as I got in this particular factory. I'm mostly just impressed with the trains. The trains are so much fun to work with when you get to that point in the game. You notice how the frame rate seems a little low over there? And that's due to some game optimizations. When I'm not close to it, it doesn't render every frame, and that just saves on some computation cycles. If I got closer, you'd see the animation smooths out. Honk honk, here comes the train. Oh no! Feel like that guy in Ghostbusters? Yeah, just like that guy in Ghostbusters. And he gets hit by the train, but it's a ghost train, so it doesn't hurt him. Did you see the number on that train? Sorry, I missed it. It was great. Alright, now I need to return to the other area. So I'm going to pause the video and go traveling. So the easiest way to get around, other than jumping the flag, is to just drive the train on the track that I built. I'm going to turn the volume up just a hair. And you get to see some of these beautiful tracks. Now I did try to use the global positioning so that I wouldn't have to worry about these things not meeting correctly in certain places. But unfortunately, there's some glitches with it. So there's some places where they don't quite meet exactly like you'd expect. But it's still fun to just go cruising around the track in the train. Choo-choo! Yeah, there's a few places along here where there's radiation. I don't have the radiation suit yet. I haven't gotten that far in the game. Stop. I was gonna unpause the video, or pause the video, but a railway crash would actually make this so we're not gonna do that. Just wait. More radiation here. Here's my coal station. We're approaching my big connection. And you can see the sign says left. Yeah, left. So I'm going to switch to right. Why didn't it switch to right? I told it to switch to right. I pressed the button. There it goes. They keyed it to the WASD instead of to the arrow keys. Now this is and I'm not proud of this, but it does work. Choo-choo! Button for the horn. Whoop, not that. Okay. Okay. Alright, we'll pick those up. I forgot that I had left a locomotive here, so that kind of got in the way. Boing! So I told you about the jump pads and how they're really convenient for getting around. Fixing this tree! Oh, fixing this tree! So here's my base. I started improving things by actually consolidating into factory buildings instead of just having everything laid out on the ground. In future iterations, like the one I started on the other save, I'll go ahead and continue that, or do that from a much earlier start, and actually putting things in boxes and saying, hey, this is a unit where I put in these 4 inputs here, or 5 inputs as it were, screws, plastic, circuit boards, and cables, and I get computers out. Computers are very useful things. A couple of random things. These have pipes in them, just from older iterations of stuff. You see the miners doing their thing, piping out this machine here, which is a truck depot, or depot, depending on, again, what side of the pond you're on. And we have little tractors running around doing our bidding. Come on, my minions! You can do it. And this does nothing to pick up ore and bring it to the ore processing plant, which makes this the ore processing plant. So the ore is brought in here and goes firing up these. I've planned for the future, but I don't have more than just the one implemented yet. And in the future, I'll add a few more stories to this. And here's what this looks like on the inside. We have what we call a manifold pattern, where all the stuff comes in here, and then is distributed down the line here, and any overflow comes to this point and is distributed into these ones here, and then their output is run out here into this bin. So the output of those machines comes down this line here and up into these machines, and the output of this line here comes down this line and also into these big bins. And then I have 2 of those just for buffer, and they output right through this wall into here. And that is a truck depot where I can now truck out the metal to the places where I want it to go. And anything extra goes into a sink. And you'll really get used to using the awesome sinks. Just throw away your extra garbage. It is an extremely useful pattern. And hey, when you get enough of those awesome points, you can start putting little statues and things around your base. The gold statue of "You did it! You wasted a lot of time." Alright, then the other thing here is these fuel containers, which come in from that bin. Right now I'm just manually putting them in, but they're used to fuel the trucks. And I'm glad that those are working again, because for a while they weren't working correctly. Here is one of the places where I'm trucking the metal. The metal comes over here and is turned into a number of lovely things. We have screws and plates, So if I ever need plates, I've got lots of them in here. And then the screws fill this up. And then I have a line that runs them out to a machine over there that is a useful thing. And I just didn't feel like setting up a truck to go deliver. I'm kind of pondering on just how useful it is to do trucks for everything. Trucks aren't the most useful, or at least at the time, there was the problem of the trucks didn't always work the way you expected them to. They didn't always take fuel like they're supposed to. And again, any extra screws not needed go into the sink. We have many other places where we have machines running. Like this factory over here, which produces copper wire and cables and sinks the excess. And I even have a line running off to take them somewhere where they're used a lot. Because it's just too annoying to go keep filling it up. Building ramps to get over the terrain so you can drive your car places is a useful pattern. This factory produces steel. And as you can see, I'm not even using all the resources it's producing. So this can definitely be improved. But when I bring in this iron ore and add to it this coal ore coming from that one up there, I can make the steel. Some of these make steel plates. Well, they're all making steel ingots. Yeah, they make the steel ingots, and then those steel ingots are piped up this machine up here. Oh, do I? Oh, snowball. One of the items you get in the Fixmas event is explosive snowballs, and they're really good for clearing obstacles. Don't like that tree? Boom! No more tree. Okay, and these produce then these steel bars or steel plates, whatever they are. Steel beams. And the steel beams then come out here into a truck depot, and then the truck takes them to where they're needed. So there's a lot of fun automation that you can build in this game. With a little bit of imagination and a little bit of ingenuity, there's very little you can't pull off. See, I can even keep building upward. So if I want to build more production on this iron, I can go on another level. That plant over there is producing copper wire. This assembly here produces modular frames, heavy modular frames. Here's my hub. And I have a number of machines over here for various projects. Two coal power plants. We haven't gotten that in another one. I'll show you my coal power plant. It's pretty awesome. Hyper tubes. Hyper tubes are a fun way to get around in the late game. Yes, I must show you this. Hyper tubes. Hyper tube station, go. As you spin around in a loop, you pick up speed, and then I launch. Whee! Hyper tube cannon. Here is my power plant. It's a coal power plant that runs off of a couple of coal depots over here and brings that coal into these rows of power plants. And the water comes from, obviously, all these water extractors. This is how I power my current setup. Until I get nuclear power, this is pretty much as good as you can expect. But we do want to increase this production to something a little more powerful. Lately what I've been working on is building power plants with fuel. So fuel-powered plants. And I can show you that, but I'll have to pause the game while I travel over there. Oh gosh, we're almost at a half an hour already. Well, maybe I'll save that for another day. No, I can pause. I'm going to pause and fly over there. Or rather than fly, we'll travel in style. The Explorer. Dun 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 da da dun. Coolest vehicle. Alright, I'm going to pause and continue traveling. Alright, I've made it back to the cannon. Now I do intend to build a few more cannons in various places. The loops are nice because they conserve the connections. If you have too many of them running, you just use a lot of your power. It's beautiful up here. Truly, this is the best way to travel. I do have a train that runs out here. This is my fuel power plant. Uh-oh. Critters. Ow. I'm gonna die! Alright. We just throw a couple of these over there. There we go. Wait for that guy to come back to it, and boom! Alright, that'll take care of that. That's one less thing. Breathe easier now. Here's the return cannon. Wasn't nearly so well thought out as the original, or it doesn't work nearly as well as the original, and I can't tell you why, because I've actually put a lot more links into this one so that it'll be more powerful. Okay, we have oil here. The oil is extracted by oil extractors. Oh gosh, not another one. this is the problem with, oh, there it is. Ow. These guys don't hit hard, but they don't stop. Ow. Ow. Okay, we gotta do something. Yeah, we're 31 minutes now. My, how the time flies. My frame rate. Wrong thing, wrong thing. Right thing. There's another one! They're everywhere! Down there. Alright, I got that one. I am the bug hunter. I wasn't supposed to be looking for that kind of bug. Kind of see it underneath that pipe there. Got it. Got it. Okay. Are we gonna have any more interruptions? I hope not. Fabric. Alright, so we have the oil. The oil is producing rubber and heavy oil residue. That heavy oil residue is a liquid, so it has to be pumped into these refineries where it's creating fuel. The fuel collects in these big tanks and then is used to feed these fuel power depots. I have a second row of them up here. Now we ran into some problems with the pumps not working correctly, or the pipes not quite working the way that I expected them to. So I pump them from that container into this container here, and then feed all of these containers from that. The nice thing about the setup is it's repeatable. I have a number of things. There's a byproduct of the production of fuel. No, there isn't a byproduct of the production of fuel. But from the production, there's more heavy oil residue than I'm using for fuel. And so the extra heavy oil residue is processed up here into rubber. And that rubber is then used to make other things. And of course, you use the extra rubber that you're not going to need into the sink. So I have a big container of rubber in case I need rubber for anything. And then this train depot at the moment is doing nothing, but will eventually allow me to come pick up the rubber and get to the places. And then I have a similar rubber factory on the other side, or rubber collection facility on the other side. And this is what we call a smart splitter, which we haven't discussed yet. And it's programmable, and it says always prefer pumping it out this way, unless this is full, and then send it that way. This was called an overflow setting. So, center, anything goes through. Right, don't do anything. Left, send the overflow. So, smart splitters are very useful. You'll get to really love those. Anyway, that's a tour of my work in the Good Save. I do hope you enjoyed it. It was a lot of fun to make. We'll just finish off with a lunch from the big cabin. Whee! Okay, that worked. There's my trains down there doing their happy train thing. Choo choo! I love playing with my trains. The only other thing to care about considering, or there's a couple factories over here to look at, if we care to later. Like this one that produces heavy frames, or no, not heavy frames, but regular frames. But we can talk about that another day. This has been more than long enough. Have a good night, guys.